What is it? Yeah, you big boy. For each woman. I know. Tell me, oh, you're pregnant. Yeah, that's exactly what they said.
So who do you have here?
This is Javen. This is my beautiful son. I gave birth to him on February 4th. He is a preemie. So he was born 2 months early. He will be 5 months on Thursday.
So tell us about your pregnancy with Javen.
Yeah, so overall, my pregnancy was really smooth. I was active throughout my entire pregnancy. Everything was really normal pretty much for all of my OBGYN visits. But he still obviously came 2 months early. The doctors still are kind of like thinking and make jokes that it's because of how active I was with him. But yeah, I basically worked out my entire pregnancy up until the time, literally up until the day that my water broke. And it broke actually at the gym. So yeah, but overall it was a really smooth and healthy pregnancy.
So any morning sickness,
Yeah, so in the beginning I did have those symptoms. I actually found out I was pregnant because I was having these extreme abdominal and low back pains. It's okay. So I went to go get a test thinking I had a UTI, and then they tell me, oh, you're pregnant. Yeah, that's exactly what they said. But yes, in the beginning, the first trimester especially, I did struggle with the morning sickness, the nausea, a lot of insomnia too. I remember that. So yeah, all of the typical stuff you hear about the first trimester, I definitely experienced.
So are there specific things the doctor told you could not do in terms of working out while you were pregnant?
So my doctor didn't go a whole lot in depth as far as what I could and couldn't do. A lot of stuff I had to figure out on my own, what worked with my body through a lot of research because I was pretty paranoid. But they did kind of tell you to take it easy. You still want to stay active as much as you can, but just take it easy, and pretty much core and abdominal exercises, anything working your lower like abdominals, you really want to refrain from. So like no crunches, no sit-ups, or things like that. But they did still encourage to stay as active as I could.
So do you feel like that benefited you with the delivery, with the pregnancy overall?
Yeah. 1000%. So like I said, I was active my entire pregnancy, literally up until the day my water broke while I was at the gym and I didn't even realize it. It's a funny story. When I was experiencing contractions and dilated to a 5, I didn't know it because I have like a natural high pain tolerance, but I was very active and focused on strengthening, not training for like strength and power and things like that, but training for endurance and to be able to have a strong core and to strengthen my pelvic floor. So I would have as smooth of obviously there's unforeseen circumstances that happen when you're giving birth, but at least to increase the likeliness of me having a smoother labor and delivery. So 1000%, all of that helped. I would do it all over again.
So would you encourage other women to also be active when they're having their babies?
Yeah, so honestly, every woman is different. Every baby that is born is different. The first thing that any woman is going to need to do is get cleared by their OBGYN. There's a lot of girls that come to me seeking, health advice or even trying to help them through workouts that just found out that they're pregnant even. And I will not touch them until I won't allow myself to even give them any type of guidance or advice until they get cleared. So that's the first step. Get cleared by your OBGYN. Make sure you don't have a high risk pregnancy because you could very well have that and not know it. A lot of those things you won't know until you do blood work. So it's a case by case basis. But honestly, if you are not at a high risk, if you don't have a high risk pregnancy and everything pretty much is normal when you go to your visits, you do want to stay active. You do. Now, depending on the level of physical activity that you do, it's probably going to be dependent on how much exercise you did before, right? Like a lot of girls will try working out for the first time when they're pregnant. So that's where I kind of have an edge. I've been working out for over a decade, but it doesn't mean you have to have been doing that per se. But if this is the first time you're working out, is why you have a baby, a living human that is growing inside of you, it's going to be difficult. So you need to be prepared for that. But honestly, depending on whatever, fitness level that you have, I do encourage everybody to be active. It just might look different for each woman. I know.
What are the ways that you stayed motivated during this time period to just keep working out, to want to stay fit and ultimately do better for yourself and not just be discouraged and fall off?
The short answer is I didn't. Motivation, if you rely strictly on that, especially when you're pregnant, you are more than likely going to fail. What drove me was discipline. So honestly, more days than not, I wasn't motivated. I was tired. I started developing a little bit of low back pain, so I was having to go see a chiropractor twice a week. Having to balance that with my work schedule was challenging, but you figure it out. And this little human right here that's growing inside of you is like your new motivation to honestly go harder. And when you don't have that motivation, you don't feel like doing anything, you want to just stay in bed, I always would think to myself, is this going to help him? Is this going to potentially make things smoother whenever I go into the hospital and I'm about to give birth? Is this something that, when my son is here in front of me and I'm like telling him everything that mama did, is this something that I would be proud to tell him? So he was just my motivation. But yeah, when you don't have motivation, because you won't be motivated every day, I definitely had to rely on discipline. What is it?
Was any part of it difficult and just discouraging to see yourself in a way where you can't have full control of your body the way that you normally would feel, right?
Yeah, that was challenging, especially me being someone that's been in the fitness world for so long. I mean, I've worked out, I feel like my entire life since I was 12. To see that my body is doing things that I have no control over was very difficult. There was times where I was insecure. I was like, I am huge. But then at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm growing a human life. Like, I am growing a little one inside of me, right? And that was honestly just a beautiful feeling, to where I never thought that a switch would flip in my mind, to where I'd be able to be more comfortable with my body and able to kind of see things in a different way. But when I'm like, look, this is temporary. The pain I'm going through, the discomfort I'm going through, these growing pains, my body changing, it's temporary. And sure, while everyone says you won't have your old body back ever again once you give birth, I'm not trying to get my old body back. I know these changes are happening so I can make room for this little guy. And why not have an even better body that I can love and appreciate and know that, hey, this body was capable of growing and producing life. So yeah, it had its challenges, but it's all about your mindset and kind of shifting that and putting it into a different perspective.
What was it like? What was the most enjoyable aspect of it?
I'll be honest, different women say different things, and they say, oh, I was so in love with being pregnant. I was not one of those. There was not a whole lot of things that I loved about being pregnant. Now, after having birth and setting eyes on my son for the first time, that was a crazy experience. I still think about it to this day and dream about it. Like, wow, I remember the first time I laid eyes on him after pushing him out. I'm like, I really just did that? That's mine? That's wild. But when I was pregnant, I would say probably one of the few things that I enjoyed, because it did have me kind of feeling like I was in this weird funk, was the kicks. I loved feeling him kick and move around inside me. I thought that was really cool, to know, oh, he's sleeping right now while I'm awake, or, oh, I'm trying to sleep and he's super active. And then to see that transfer into real life, I'm like, yep, all those kicks, that's what I was experiencing in my tummy. So I think that was the most exciting part that I really miss, if I have to say.
So how's it now balancing everything, balancing your fitness journey and balancing your personal life with the relationship with your significant other, as well as trying to balance him? How is it all?
That's a great question. It feels like sometimes us, especially new moms, what is balance? You have to figure it out. I don't have it down to a science just yet. Everything is not perfect. There are days that I want to bang my head against a wall because I couldn't make it to the gym that day because my husband was already with the baby for so long and I needed to step up, and now it was my turn to help. And while I'm very grateful to have a supportive husband that is all about me putting the gym as a priority, it's not always easy. But I think the thing is, you make time for what you want and you just figure it out. There's times where sometimes I have to pick up the dumbbells in the basement and do a workout. Now, I will say I've never been a home workout girly. I've always been one to where I'm motivated in the gym. That's just where I get the most productivity when I'm trying to work out. So I really, really try to be consistent with going 4 to 5 days a week. But even if I only can make it 30 minutes, then I can only make it 30 minutes. You just figure it out. You make sure that obviously, like with work, that's how I'm able to put a roof over his head. With my spouse, I have to continue to work and blossom that relationship. My son is obviously now top priority. But then if I let fitness go out the back door and don't care about that, I'm setting a bad example for him, showing him that, hey, you know, I cared about my well-being and my physical fitness that helped you have a healthy start to your life. But now I don't care about it anymore. That's not fair. It's not fair to him. That's not fair to me. In order for me to be the best mom and the best wife, I have to put myself and my health first. So it's just about figuring it out. Carve out, even if it's 30 minutes a day to work out. But just figure it out and make time for what you want.